Hello, welcome in, welcome in. This is You Can Talk, and this is my Talk Truth live sessions that I do on Saturday nights. I appreciate everyone being here. Tonight, I have some very special guests that I'm super excited for you all to meet. These are the Barnwells. We are going to be talking tonight, as you all know, about transformation and transition. That's what I've been focusing on this month. And so I've been trying to bring guests on for you all to be able to talk with and hear some real stories, some real life situations that people have overcome and gotten through and done it successfully. So we need this inspiration. We need this motivation. We need to see people who are doing it and doing it well. And that is what I'm trying to bring to you all. I'm going to take just a minute or two to welcome the people coming in. Hello, Cindy. How are you? I see you. Hello, Content. How are you? Welcome. Good to see you. I'm going to give people a couple minutes to come in. Hey, Verns. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Let's see. I'll pull the people up so you all can see them.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Good to see you, Content. I'm so happy. Verns, I'm so happy you guys are here. I have an exciting conversation for you all tonight. I'm just going to wait just a couple seconds and let people come in. Hey, Kiki, how are you, sis? Good to see you. Here is my beautiful, handsome brother right there. Minister Terrence, how are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. True fan to you. Welcome. They are pouring in. I'm so excited to see you all. This is going to be a conversation that you do not want to miss. If you have the ability to share me out, please do. All right. All right. So who I have, these beautiful, literally beautiful people I have here on the screen are, no, do you like to be called bishop or pastor?
Pastor's fine. That's fine.
Pastor. This is Pastor Victor Barnwell and his lovely wife, Antoinette Barnwell. They are they have a local church in San Antonio, Texas, and I met them several years ago. And every time I am in the midst of these people, my heart is blessed, my spirit is blessed, and just watching their lives, how they have, transformed and transitioned through so many life changes and circumstances and done it so well. I had to bring this couple to you all so you all could meet them and we can talk about these, ask questions and get to know a little bit about what they've done. They're willing to share so much with us tonight. So I'm super excited. I'm not going to waste another minute chatting. I'm going to get right into it. Forgive me, you all. If Pastor Barnwell, can you, they're asking the name of your church.
It's actually called New Covenant Christian Fellowship. It's on Montgomery Road here in San Antonio.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Just to talk to everyone in the chat, I just want to let you all know I'm not going to address you all every minute like I typically would. Please don't think I'm ignoring you. I just want to make sure you all get as much of this good conversation in as possible. And I will give you all an opportunity at the end to ask questions. Okay. So take us back to that moment where you decided that this is it. I've had enough. Today's the day. I'm ready to transform my life, how I look physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. What was it like for you? What was your life like when you were at that point? What was going on?
For me, I was actually severely depressed. I was pastoring, and I had gone through divorce after 19 years. And at 46 years old or whatever it was at the time, I was actually had to move back into the house with my parents, and just going through a situation like that is very traumatic for anybody who's gone through something like that. You're fully aware of how that feels, and there's lots of things associated with that cause you to question who you are as a person. In this case, who was as a person, as a man, as a pastor or father, lots of times when you're going through a situation like that, the answers lie in the hands of maybe the other person, and you don't always get the feedback that you desire. And so what happens is you kind of go into this downward spiral, and that's what happened to me. I'd gone into a downward spiral. I actually became suicidal, believe it or not, which is it's a strange thing when you're a believer, as a Christian. I mean, and as a pastor, I was preaching, and I was literally dying, before the people. Like, they watched me, they saw me, but um, I don't know that if they recognized what was going on. We have a tendency to cover up things. We all do. We put on the mask, and we go out, and that's exactly what I did. I put on the mask. I went out. I preached on Sundays. I taught Bible study, greeted the people, visited. I did all of the things I was supposed to do. I'm bivocational, so I worked as well. Um, but in the back of my head, had become very depressed, suicidal. At the time, I used to ride motorcycles, and that was kind of my thing. And I just remember, riding, thinking, maybe someone will run over me today, and I would ride from San Antonio all the way to Seguin every day, 40 miles to work, 40 miles back. And every time I'd get on, I'd be thinking, okay, this is it. This is going to be the day that all the pain goes away. This is going to be the day. And nothing ever happened. Um, you
So you were
know,
prepared to die every morning when you woke up,
yeah, pretty
and
much.
even wishing, even
Yeah.
wishing for
I
it.
would say, to be honest with you, I know we have people on here, and so I want to be very transparent. I want to be very real with you, because as I think, that's the thing we grab a hold to. I'm not going to give you some fairy tale story. This is actually true. Yes, I woke up thinking that, and sometimes I think we talk about tempting God. Obviously it wasn't His will, but I would get on. I was the crazy guy that people would talk about on TV. I was the guy that would get out there, and I would ride my bike 190 miles an hour for 30 miles, thinking, okay, it's not really suicide if someone pulls out in front of me. Um, but it was like this. It was like God's hand was on me. Like, cars would literally just move out of the way, like nothing. It would just open like the Red Sea. And I kept thinking, okay, God, this has got. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? And then I started going to the gym, and it was just a place where I found solitude. I didn't have to think. I just got there, and I would get my head clear, and it just gave me that time where I could just spend time with me, if that makes sense. And yes,
So the divorce was the main thing that brought on that depression
yeah.
for you? Okay.
Yeah, I was in the military. I was active duty. I had gone to Iraq, and I was in Iraq from 2004 to 2005. When I came back, I went through a divorce. So, in addition to the baggage that we bring back from deployments, that occurred. And so it was kind of like a layered effect. But, the one thing is that, when you have people around you who are supporting you, you can make it through those things. PTSD, with people recognizing that, and being there supporting you, you can pull through. But when that's not there, and you reach for the people who mean the most to you, and those people are not there, that's another level of a mental anguish. And that's just where I was.
I
And
love that you brought that up, that just because so many people feel that just because you're saved, just because you have the Lord in your life and you've accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, that you don't get depressed, that you should never have those types of suicidal thoughts, depression. You should have no other problem or issue, once you take that step
yeah,
of salvation. And that is not the case.
it's not. And what it does is it leads to a type of condemnation, because first of all, you feel condemned because you feel that way, because you feel like,
Yeah,
I shouldn't feel this way. And
right,
then
right.
you do, and then that's just another thing. And so you tend to hide it, and not want to share or to expose it, because of, being questioned, your relationship with God being questioned. And as a pastor, who do I go to? As another person. Typically you may be able to confide in someone, but you don't. I'm not going to go to a lay member. My parents were there, and they supported me as much as they could. But there are just things about going through a divorce that if you've never been through one, you just don't understand. My parents are very strong in their marriage, and they've been married forever. And they were the kind of people that pulled through things. We just made it happen, and that's how they are. And so there were just things that they could not relate to. But at the same time, like I said, I found that solitude. It kind of brought some balance back into my life. And then I met Antoinette. And the truth about us is we knew each other as kids.
Wow.
We kind of grew up in the same area, but we left, and had been 35 years since I saw her. I think maybe
Wow.
one time I visited home and I saw her and I was thinking, wow, that's Antoinette. She still looks the same. And you kind of, and when this
Was
happened,
she your childhood crush? Was she your high school crush?
see, here you go. So here's the story. Yes. I think I was 9. I was 9 years old. My cousin and I, we used to play we used to play in the treehouse. And I said to them, hey, if I don't marry Janet Jackson, I'm going to marry Antoinette Cochran. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Well, when this happened, I kind of withdrew. I was working, still at the church. I was going to the gym. And my aunt said, hey, what are you doing with your life? And I just basically
Mhm.
said, hey, I'm going to church, going to work. That's all I'm going to do because people are crazy. I'm not dealing with no more women, and she's like, no, I think you should start talking to someone who maybe has the same beliefs and views on life as you do. And I said, okay, who is this person? And she said, Antoinette. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she didn't talk to me when we were in school. I know she's not going to talk to me now. This is nuts. So I did the guy thing, give her my number, and she didn't call. So I was like, that must be God. But believe it or not, it had been, I thought, well, I'd give her a week. And if I didn't hear from her, then, I was just not going to pursue. And on
Mhm.
September 11th, like
Yeah.
911, like I'm sitting at my parents' house and the phone rings and it's like an odd number and I answer and it's her. And that
Wow.
was pretty much it.
Did your heart drop?
I got real nervous, I didn't know what to do. My hands started sweating. I was like, okay. And I didn't know what to say,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but we're both from the country. It was kind of easy talking, just kind of, hey, how's your mama?
You're like playing it cool. You're like,
Yeah,
heart,
yeah,
stay
and
down.
yeah. Eventually, we started really opening
Deepening
up
your voice
together.
a little bit.
Yeah, you got to turn that thing on.
Definitely the first night, Ruth, on the
The
phone.
first night. I believe that. I believe that.
Oh,
Like, let me not show her that I'm extremely excited to be talking to her right now.
yeah. Well, there was a certain level of comfort. There was something, about our conversations, and that's the other thing. I think when it comes to relationships, especially maybe not even in marriage, but as you're dating, because that's what we did. We were long distance dating, right? But she was saying
Mm,
things to me that she would have no idea that I was feeling because we had been
wow.
apart for 35 years. And even then, as kids, of course, we didn't really know each other. I see her at church, and with their ponytails and little things, uh, but so that just gives an idea of like how long it had been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she
Nine
was,
years
yeah,
old.
she was
I can't
saying
even
things to me.
imagine.
Yeah, I was bleeding. I was bleeding to death, and like her words just kind of comforted that. It just kind of stopped that from happening. And I thought, God, is this the person that I'm supposed to be with? And I just kind of kept praying about it. And the more I prayed, the more comfortable I became. And I would fly to Carolina and go visit her, and then eventually, I asked her to marry me, and she said, yeah. And I was like, I told you it's going to be Janet Jackson or Antoinette.
Oh my goodness. Janet Jackson was a little bit busy at the time.
Yeah, Ruth.
So Antoinette, you also have stepped into this transformation journey with your husband. Was that something that you felt that you wanted to do, something you had to do? And just so you all know, Antoinette's story in and of itself, her entire life is a full testimony. But as we're going to skip forward. I wish I could unfold you all's life in this hour, but I know I'm not going to be able to.
Right.
So, we may have to bring you all back on at some point and dig a little deeper. But what was it for you that got you to the point where you're like, let me make this change, jump on board with my husband? And this transformation that I'm talking about for those of you all is a weight loss journey from what started, right, as probably as a weight loss journey.
Yes.
And just transitioned into so much more. So what was it for you, Antoinette, that made you decide, let me jump on board with this? And were you going through anything at the time?
Well, pretty much, Ruth. I was going to the bodybuilding shows with Victor. And just encouraging him and, just the excitement of him meeting his weight loss goals and just everything that went along with it. At that time, I was at a point of, man, we were just happily married, eating out every other day, it seemed. We gained a lot of weight, Ruth. I gained up to, I think, maybe 197 pounds at one point.
Yeah, I was 270. Literally. I was 270.
We were fluffy. We were round, and we thought it was okay, but we weren't feeling okay. So when he won his first couple of shows, I said, you know what? I'd see all the women, and and I being, we're older. We're definitely older than the people who were competing, and I was like, why not? Which when Victor did it, it was a little hesitancy there because, being a pastor and you talking about bodybuilding, it didn't go over well with the people at the church at first.
Wow.
We had people leave. So I thought, man.
And we were okay with that.
Yeah, we were okay. We were okay. But I said, if pastor's doing it, first lady's going to do this. It's going to be some issues up in here for sure. But I went ahead, Ruth, and I did it anyway because we think outside of the box, and God has delivered us. He's restored us, and we just live our lives. And I did it.
I'm sorry. Before you go any further, I'm gonna I don't want people to not understand what we're talking about here. So I'm gonna bring up your transformation pictures, so they can see the work that you all have put in. Hold on just 1 second, guys. All right. Hold on. Okay. Does everyone see that?
I do.
Can everyone see that? Okay, fantastic. So can everyone still hear us? So how much did you all lose?
So in that picture right there, that was actually in 2017. I was 270 pounds and I was about 35% body fat. And like Antoinette said, we weren't really feeling good. We were just kind of doing whatever, I mean, I was working out, but the workout wasn't really focused on my body, if that makes sense. It was just a place that I could go to get away. And then we were leaving and going to the buffet, and then it just got uncomfortable, like, just living life. Preaching actually became hard, believe it or not. After church, I would feel like I'd ran 15 miles. And I thought, what is going on with me? And I got on the scale and I didn't realize that I was as heavy as I was. And I told Antoine I was like 270 pounds. And I met a friend from the gym. He's my our workout partner. We work out together now. And he said, hey, why don't you do a competition and set a goal, and that'll help you. And I thought, you got to be out of your mind. Like, look at me. He was like, it's in there. You just got to get it out. So I got a coach, nutritionist. and we started working out. And the one thing I want to say right here, Ruth, is, I know people they're looking at the pictures and and they see that the physical aspect of it, but it's so much more than that, because the one problem that the people at the church as a pastor had was they said, oh, this is actually a vain thing that you're doing. It's all in vanity, and it's not. I mentioned earlier about being depressed, and you talked about Antoinette and where she came from. It's like, if you've ever been in a situation where you feel like there's so much more that I have to offer, I just don't know where it is. I got to dig it out. And that transformation to me was really releasing the weight, not just the physical weight, but the mental weight, the emotional weight, and breaking free. And that's what was underneath, like the real Vic, like that's the real me there. It's what I was always, that I never had the ability to display. And so in doing that, the way that it came out was that way. Like that's an expression of the inward me. And I feel that, in addition to that, as believers, as Christians, we have a lot of pastors that'll get up on Sunday mornings and they'll preach about, your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, and we need to maintain this vessel. But yet at the same time, people are struggling, with health issues, as believers. And I think that, what, when people look at you, they should realize, man, there's something different about that person. Now I understand that, there's some limitations and there's some things that are health-wise that will limit people to, what they're able to do. However, whatever we can do, that's what we should be doing to maintain that vessel. And so I'm all about pushing it right up to as far as I can go. I don't half step in anything, believe it or
I
not.
see. Yes. So how much weight actually did you all lose?
So I was 270 pounds. That picture that you just showed was like in May. That was actually the first picture to my coach. That was the picture. I was 270 pounds. That was in May. My competition, the first competition I did was in November of that same year. It was the Lackland Classic. And at that show, I was 182. So almost 100 pounds. Is that about 98 pounds?
That is unbelievable.
So it was 98 pounds.
Yeah.
And Antoinette.
At 197, Ruth, I got on stage. When I got on the stage, I was 130 in my 132.
Yeah.
Wow.
It took
That's
a
like
couple of years.
high school
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I tell you, working out together, when we first started working out together, I see Cynthia popping up. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good
It
point,
is.
because when we started working out together, it was, we were fighting. We were,
Literally at the gym.
we were arguing, like,
It's like,
just
oh.
trying to, but what happened was, as we started to learn each other, then it became more motivation. And as she got closer to her competition time, for anybody who's competed in any type of sport where you're dieting, when you're dieting for bodybuilding competitions, you become very depleted. Your hormones are all out of whack. Your calories are very low, but you still have to be able to push yourself to an extreme. Ultimately, that's what it is. You push your body right up to the limit. And so during that process, when she got to that place, I knew it was going to be hard for her. And, when she wanted to quit, I kept saying, okay, like, no, I can see this. Like, I can see you at this point better than you can see yourself. Like, I know it's in there. So we're going to just push towards that. The one thing, though, that we pulled away from that is that same principle, though, works outside of the gym, right? So as husbands and wives, we have this thing where we should be dreaming together.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, the dream that I have for me, as I'm trying to press forward to that, I may become discouraged, but she's still able to maintain the vision, even while, I can't see it happening, and vice versa with her, and writing a book, hey, I want to do this, and I don't know. And like, yeah, you can do it, just do it, and to be there to push through that. So those same principles that we learned at the gym, we apply here at home, and when it comes to resistance, whether it is at the gym or spiritual resistance or something that occurs, in our relationship, we approach it the same way. Like, yeah,
Say we use those principles that we use at the gym. Can you be a little more specific? Like what
well,
is something specific that you've brought from the gym into your relation, into your marriage?
well, when it's consistency is one, right?
Consistency.
Consistency and commitment,
Yes.
right? And then, it's all about it costs you something in order to reach those goals. And
Mhm.
so, there comes a time when everybody, no matter who you are, when you're trying to accomplish something that you establish in your mind as a goal, you become a little bit discouraged because maybe it's just not working out in your head the way that you thought that it was going to be. And the
Okay.
same way at the gym.
Because yeah, it's there are days, Ruth, you're not gonna want to go to the gym. You've worked all
Absolutely.
day. You want to go home, put your feet on the couch, and eat some donuts or cake. But forget about a competition. I want to eat, and
Yeah.
it's very rigid, and that's the thing. People will start it, but when it comes to sticking to it, that's the hard part.
And that
It,
works in
yeah.
life. It works in life.
But was that your original intention when you started this journey, was to be at that competitive stage? Because you are actually now a pro at this. Like you've gotten your pro card, you have a sponsor, you are, you're doing this on a huge level now.
Yeah,
Was
no,
that
that wasn't.
always the
No.
intention? Like what took you from losing weight and feeling good about yourself to let's see how far I can go with this?
I think that it was, after the first competition, we talked about, or maybe I alluded to, having low self-esteem. You're not really sure who you are. This thing, like I felt it, like I felt reconnected. I felt connected to what was inside of me. And when that happened, I think that was a thing that pushed me to see, okay, there's got to be more. Maybe there's more. And I just kept going. I wasn't really focused on turning pro. I wasn't focused on the sponsorship, the supplement stuff. I wasn't really thinking about that, honestly. Um, I just wanted to be the best that I could possibly be. Then when I showed up, I thought, maybe my best is good enough to do that, to be that next thing.
At what
Um,
age? Now tell you, y'all have to tell us your age at this point. I hope y'all won't be offended, but we
no,
need
I'm
to
No.
know.
I'm 50, I'm 53.
And I'm
You're
55.
53
Yeah,
and you're
50.
55?
Yes.
And what's funny is, like, the people that we compete against,
And
like
you
we're
all
like their
started this,
parents.
so you all literally started this journey at what age?
49.
Last year for me.
54.
Yes, Ruth. My first competition, and I won the Diva.
What?
That was the name of the competition, the Diva.
The
Yeah.
diva. Your
Yes.
very first competition, you won it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And were
it
you
was.
competing? Were you competing with other women your age? I mean, are there a lot of women your age in this
Not
arena?
really. No.
No,
Okay, so you're
there's not a lot of
competing
women. That
with
competition, though.
women younger than you
There are women younger than me in
at
different
50,
categories.
and
Yes.
you won.
Well, actually, Ruth, they break it up, the categories. But in my competition, in my category,
Yeah, she won.
I won because there's nobody else showed up. But had they showed up, Ruth, they would have had some
You still would
competition.
have won.
They would have had some competition, Ruth.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You gotta look. She's moving on out of the screen. She's getting all amped up, getting excited and everything.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. So when we show up, most people, you know, they're, like I said, they're like the age of our children. They're age of
Yeah,
our daughters. And even
absolutely.
at the gym, like guys, they'll walk up and they'll ask me, man, how old are you? Like, I'm not that kind of person that be like, why are you asking my age? Like, I really
Yeah.
want you to know. I want you to know that I'm 53 years old, and yes, you can be competitive at 53 years old, and yes, you can continue developing and growing and doing everything that's required to be competitive at 53. I refuse to allow statistics to dictate how I develop. And a lot of times people will go, oh, well, at this age, you stop doing certain things. Well, that's not true, because I'm here to tell you I am still good. I'm good to go. This is how we live our lives every day. And our life in general is approached like that. We just refuse to allow people to tell us how to live, especially I'm talking about really like in a confined state, placing limits on you. We are, as children of God, we are unlimited as long as we operate under his umbrella, which is infinite. So, nobody's tapped into that. And I'm trying to tap into as much of it as I can.
That's right.
Talk to us about that. You mentioned that you got a lot of pushback from the church and people around you. What were some of the things that people were saying that made you feel limiting, like those words that people say that either they say it haphazardly or they think that they're being encouraging and they're not? What types of things would you all hear that would, really offend you all, really?
Well, the one thing is, what basically in order to compete, it's not like you're fully dressed, so,
Okay.
you're in a bikini or you're in posing trunks. And
Right.
people go, well, you shouldn't be, exposing that much of yourself. And those, I can say it wasn't a lot of people that did that. We did have, a family, in particular come to me and they said that. And then I had other pastors who, we're supposed to be pastor friends, and all of a sudden, they were making comments about, oh, I assumed that we would call you and you'd be late on the beach or something like that. And, but what I did though, I started thinking, how long would I allow their words to have impact on my life? And I just refuse to do that. And, there's just sometimes you just have to disconnect yourself from people. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It just means that I refuse to allow them to be close enough to me to have that type of influence. And the people at the church, I just prayed, okay, God, give them what they need, because obviously where I am and where you're taking me is not where they need to go. So, put them somewhere where they can be fed. And I'm assuming that that's what happened. But I'll tell you something else that happened with me and Antoinette is the people from the gym actually come to the church.
Yeah.
Like our church is full of bodybuilders. So now what?
They're like, well, he's winning, so let me go see what he's got over here. What's the secret sauce here?
Because for Antoinette and I, the first thing that they'll say is, well, you guys are, you're pastoring and you do this, yes. Yeah. And most of the time, they've gotten pushback for that, and they open and honestly, we have lots of sessions in the gym where people just asking us questions about the Bible and having relationships with God. Yeah. And we spend a lot of time doing that, so much so that sometimes the owners will come in and just kind of stop people from, so that we can train.
So do people assume that if you're in this lifestyle that you're not saved or that you're not believers, or is that the assumption?
Yeah,
you're really
not fully saved, or
not fully saved.
Yeah, it's something isn't right about it, Ruth. And it's so
wow.
wrong. It is so wrong, and
Wow.
basically, like Vic was saying, the attire. We couldn't.
It's all about the attire for them and the vanity part of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
How do you all respond to that? Like, what is your response to people who bring that conversation?
It was hard, I'm gonna tell you, because at my job I would hear the snickering, the stuff, the little jokes about the shoes, their hooker shoes, and but Vic and I, you have to tune that stuff out, because we know who we are in Christ.
Absolutely.
It's not about being accepted, because had it been that, we never would have even thought of doing it.
Right. And that's something I say all the time, that we allow too often other people's words to validate us rather than we validating ourselves and allowing the Lord to validate us. Yeah. It is so often that we feel like we can't be who we are because other people can't accept it.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that.
Yeah, and I feel really good about where we are. I feel good about what we do. And you know what? Listen to this. So you had asked earlier, were we thinking about, turning pro and, the sponsorship? And, after a while, yeah, you kind of want to progress forward as far as like the sport itself, and that was actually the next level. And we worked, towards that. God showed me how to remain humble. You want to remain humble. You want to keep your humility, because you want to be encouraging as you go through the steps.
Yeah.
Because, I'm the kind of person as I want to do the work, and then you allow other people to, other people will just say things. I don't go around trying to, you know, um, promote myself. I don't do that.
Mhm.
So we did that. But, at the competition itself, the competition where I turned pro, my daughters were on the live stream, and they posted a comment about being so proud of their dad, and, which is, man,
I know. Oh,
so
I can't even imagine.
so they
Yeah.
posted that on the live stream.
Yes.
Well, on the live stream was global, and there was a promoter in Belgium who saw the post, and he
Wow.
contacted me and said, "Man, you know what? I love the relationship that you have with your daughters. How would you be interested in working with these products?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's really about your relationship with your daughters." And I love that. I'm a father, and I love seeing that between father and his daughters, and that's how that happened.
And
It
the thing that is just so unbelievably incredible and amazing about that is that this man doesn't realize the walk that you had to take with your daughters to develop that relationship.
right,
That
exactly,
relationship that you have developed with your girls is a journey in and of itself, because there was still the aftermath of that divorce that you all
yeah,
had,
Yeah.
that
exactly,
they were having so much damage
right.
that you had to recover from.
Right. And he
Um,
had no idea.
so
And that's the thing. And that's again, I guess that's just another topic, Ruth, but that's
I know,
there's so many moving pieces to this.
I
And that's
know.
really what I want everybody to understand who's watching is we talking about body transformation, but I think that in the title it's so much more than that. And I think you expressed that, but there's so much more to this transformation, this transition
Mm.
than just the weight loss.
Yeah.
It's really a restoration, a whole person restoration. That's actually what occurred, over the last, 9, 10 years. God has restored us individually and collectively as
Yes.
husband and wife, and he has put us in a place, that honestly, I never thought, that we would be in any aspect of our lives. When we first got married, we were sleeping like on an air mattress, right? And we were just happy,
Yeah.
like I'm just happy that I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night arguing. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I could go to work and come back home and, everything is still the same, and in the middle of that, God opened doors for everything,
Hmm.
in ministry, in our lives, the physical aspect, my job, all those things, this with you tonight, the
Yeah.
sponsorship, the bodybuilding, the pro card, all these things have actually just happened within the last four or
The
five
Yes.
windows of
years.
heaven and pouring out a blessing that we do
Yes.
not have room enough to receive.
Yeah.
Antoinette, we've heard a little bit about, Victor and the things that he's gone through. Talk to us a little bit. Share with us just some of the things that you have overcome too, because your story also is amazing. And I realize you can't share the whole thing with us, but just give us some snippets of what you've had to overcome in your life.
Well, Ruth, pretty much we both came from brokenness.
Yeah.
I got into a bad marriage, ended up in divorce, went through a point of homelessness at one point, depression, of course, just suicidal thoughts. That's pretty much the same story. So God, all along, He knew what He was doing. Um, it had been 25 years since the first marriage when I met Victor. And God just did something awesome. When we got married, it's just he restored just having someone like Victor. And you know him, Ruth. You
Yeah.
worked, we kind of like helped each other. And God, he just brought us together. And man, all the pain, all the heartache, everything just seemed to everything went away. And
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
you go ahead.
People often say that two broken people shouldn't get together. And yet you all were two broken people who found each other. How
Yes.
did you all go from being two broken people to this whole couple that you are today? What was that transition like, coming from brokenness, both of you all coming from brokenness and having to, fill a hole? Because people often say, you need to be 100%, they need to be 100% whole, and then you're ready for marriage and get together. But you all weren't 100% when y'all both got married.
And it took Christ. It's Christ has to be the center. That's just the truth. You want
Yeah,
to say
because I
anything,
know
Ruth?
that, that a lot of the things that she put up with from me, most people who are watching this wouldn't have, you know. It's if when you talk to people and they'll say, especially between husbands and wives, that's the men, men are difficult communicators. They don't communicate. Well, I'm exact opposite of that. Like, I say everything, and it's like, and so when we got together, I was just pouring out like all of the stuff, and I didn't realize how I was really kind of drowning her in it.
I was going to say, you were pouring out your brokenness onto a broken person.
Yes, yes. And and then I realized, wait a second, okay, what do we do with it? And honestly, there was no rhyme or reason. I mean, I'm not a counselor or anything like that. I'm a pastor, but I was just trying to I'm like, okay, I just really need to talk about this, and it's
And you're here.
yeah, and you're here, so you're gonna have to listen, And I'd wake up early in the morning, and she'd like, okay, what's going on? And she would just listen. And honestly, when she said it's God, it had to be, because you know what? If I was her, I would have left me. I would just got up and left.
Antoinette, did you feel that you could do the same? I mean, hearing the things that he was pouring onto you, did you feel like you could do the same with him?
I
Since he
did.
was
I
broken?
did. I did. But the thing about his relationship, it had been newly fresh. It was fresh.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
I had time to kind of like get over or deal with mine.
You
But
said it had been 25 years for you.
yeah, I had a
Okay,
lot of time. So
yeah.
when I
I
met
see.
him, though, I didn't know it was as deep as it was, I'll say.
Did you have any fear and hesitation, like, oh Lord, here we go again? I don't know. Is this really
I,
what you have for me?
there were days like that, Ruth. And there was a point at one time, it's like, God, if you don't help me, I don't know what I just don't know because I didn't know he was as broken as he was. But it was a commitment. We made a commitment, and it's like, God, look, we're going to get through this. And we did. And we're going to, no
Was
matter
there
what.
Was there something you felt that God showed you that made you know that, you know what, I think we can do this? I think this is the one, that he is the one. Was there something for you, or was it just a feeling?
I just feel like, in him, he just saw that, what was happening here. Because I mean, he knew when I walked in, before when I came here, he always would say, God says it's something this is something big that we're going to have to get through. And it was really rough. I'm not going to paint a pretty picture. There were times it's like, look, I didn't sign up for this, Ruth. And, but I loved him and I couldn't see my life without him, no matter what.
I ask this question because there are a lot of single women out there who are meeting and running into a lot of broken men, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And there's hesitation, obviously. Should I go down this road with this person who is obviously broken? So that's why I asked that question. What was it for you that said, I can commit to this? like he's worth committing
The
myself
main
to.
thing, Ruth, is the fact that he had a personal relationship with the Lord. Had
Gotcha.
he not had that, I would have ran. I'm
And you
telling
felt
you,
that it was real. It wasn't
it was
just that
real. It
thing
was
that
genuine.
he
Exactly. It was genuine.
gotcha.
That's it.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to open up the floor to any questions. You all in the chat. We've got about 15 people here right now that I can see. Um, if you all have any questions, please type them in the chat for these two. Let's see. Since you all were long distance, do you think that you didn't know the whole picture of each other?
No, Cynthia, I think, man, being long distance actually helped me in because we couldn't go out or date or anything like that. Like I wasn't going to pick her up, and so everything that in our communication it had to be in our conversation. So our conversations were really intense, as far as expressing what we're feeling, and talking about things, and when we got to a place where we were engaged, painting pictures and images of like where we could possibly end up and where we could go. So I think the long distance thing actually helped us. And I'll tell you this. I'm going to be very straight up with you. I think that it helped because it was actually a place of accountability. Like Antoinette and I, we had the same beliefs as far as, we weren't trying to go into like intimate relationship type thing prior to us getting married. And we had already agreed on that. And so, being long distance, I don't want to say that because of course, you can be, you can have that type of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Interaction.
Yeah. So we were interacting with each other, but like, the long distance actually helped us to maintain those things with each other. It allowed us to develop the communication. I think that actually was used once we got together, and we needed to be able to talk. We had already had that practice because we were communicating extremely well because of the long distance relationship. So.
And how long were you all long distance before you transitioned into living in the same city, getting married, all of that? What was that
Well,
transition like?
Antoinette didn't even move here until we got married. So it was probably like about a year, I guess. And then so we were long distance, and I would go visit her like maybe every 2 or 3 months. And to be honest with you guys, like you guys are watching, like it would be like like we were high school. Like I would go stay at my grandma's house. I would go visit her, and even though she had her own place, I'd be like, okay, I gotta go. See you later. We gotta go. Like, you're not hanging out.
Yeah.
So it was like that, and I respected her for that, and I think she respected me as well. And it wasn't like any type of pressure, It's just like okay, and I think that even brought us closer together.
So you moved here, Antoinette, to a city you had never lived in before or got a job, and y'all moved into a house, and just what was going through your mind at the time of all that? Because that's a lot to take
Mixture.
on.
Very fearful,
Yeah.
very afraid, Ruth. Because I was like, what am I going to walk into up in here? First at the church, because the people there, but they welcomed me, and everything was just, it was good. It
Because
really
did
was.
they know about you before you came
They
to
heard
church?
about me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
So
good.
I told them they were actually happy because I was happy. They were happy because they were there. Like they were there for the whole thing. The people who are there now, who
Yeah.
they witnessed the whole transition. They witnessed the issues leading up to the divorce itself, and then Antoinette. So they were there. They saw all of that, which I think was also a good thing for me as a pastor because they also saw my attempts to hold on, you know, to that relationship, to do the right thing. They saw that as well, and I think that there was actually a certain level of respect for that. So when I told them about Antoinette, they were like, "Oh my goodness, okay, thank God, hallelujah." And so they welcomed her that way, and and her relationship with the people are awesome.
Gotcha. Awesome. Do we have any other questions in the chat? In the meantime, share with us some of the boundaries that you all now keep around your marriage, and your all of it, your transformation, just to keep you all in this healthy space. Because it's one thing to make the transformation and the transition, like to get there, but what have you all had to incorporate into your lives to maintain this success and this level-headedness, this humility, all of it, as so much is still coming to you and coming at you?
Well, the hardest thing for us, Ruth, being that we're not just the average couple. We have work, we have the church, and then we have life as a married couple. So we have to basically make time for us. And it's not that we try to exclude people, but if we don't, then we get lost in the middle of everything. Right, baby, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that that's what we do. We have to, and we were just talking about this the other day. Is that really it's just us, and it's not, the people at the church, they allow us our space because they know that we put a lot of time in there, and so whenever we have the times, like typically like tonight, they just give us that time. They respect that. But as far as the humility, we keep each other in check with that, because this is not about us. The weight loss, the bodies that we live in now, it has nothing to do with us. To me, it's just a tool to really use as a means of accessing people, to share with them the gospel, so none of this is about us.
Yes, that is awesome. And people probably never would have even thought of looking at that in that way, right?
Right.
Because obviously, how are you going to get these people's attention who are used to, because they live in a world that not very many people understand, because it's not really something that a lot of people can even attain.
Yeah.
So the relation is, foreign to them. And yet God has placed you all in this arena now, in this world, to impact these people.
Yeah.
How awesome how well you all are doing it. We have another question. During the transition to becoming a bodybuilder, did your wife have any issues with it? It takes so much in that. I mean, there's a lot of discipline.
Yeah. So, man, that's a good question. The first year when I did it alone, when it was just me,
Yeah.
it was difficult because, there was so much. The dieting, first of all, is nuts because you're basically, you can't go anywhere. You're because you're eating like every couple of hours. And then if you go somewhere, like if I was taking her out to eat, I would have to carry my food with me. I would eat in the car and go sit in the restaurant with her, and I would just drink water or something like that. And then the gym time, I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go do like 30, 45 minutes of cardio, go to work, come back and do it again. And at the time she wasn't working out. So she'd be like, well, you going to the gym? Are you sure you're going to the gym? I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm like, look at this, but it was difficult. It wasn't so much as, becoming a bodybuilder she had a problem with. It was, like you said, you mentioned in your question, it was the time that's required. And so then I had to start trying to work that out to make time with her.
Antoinette, share with us a couple of things that was going through your mind as he was going through that first year of doing this. Did you think, oh, this is going to be temporary, he's going to get over this, I'm going to pull him back to my side? What was going through your mind as he's not going to care or love me anymore, he's not going to be attracted to me anymore? Like, I can only imagine all the things,
Ruth, Victor, you work with him, and he is a competitor, and the gym is where he finds his peace. So, I mean, it wasn't anything in that sense. I didn't get jealous. It's just the fact that the time that goes with it, and it's like, man, I mean, we both love working out, but he loves working out. He can stay at the gym.
I will share this story with you all. And I tell you, this is when I knew Vic was really committed. This is when I knew. This was the very moment I'm going to share with you all. We were in the office together, And I had gotten this dark chocolate that was like just so good, this dark, thick, rich chocolate. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so delicious because it had like 1% sugar. And I think someone just asked a question about like, do you all have any issues with candy, cake, or sweets? Before you answer that, let me tell y'all this. I said, Victor, I said, you have to try this chocolate. I think this is something so good that you can eat, as you're going through this transformation. And when I tell y'all, it was like literally the square, like the length of my nail, a square of chocolate. And so he said, Ruth, turn over the container that it was in. And I turned it over. He looked at how many carbs and how many ounces of sugar and all this. He said, okay. And he was eating his lunch at the time. And so he said, okay, that's about this much of this and that. So he took out 2 spoonfuls of rice, threw it in the trash so that he could eat the little square of chocolate that I gave him. I was blown away. I was like, did he just throw away 2 teaspoons of rice so that he could eat this piece of chocolate? I felt horrible. I felt like horrible for even bringing it to him. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like a Jezebel or something. Like, like I'm gonna cause this man to fall. I was like, oh wow. Yeah, I never took another thing to him again. Never. I was like, no, he is for real. He is for real.
Yeah. That's as far as the issues with candy or cake, like that's never been really my thing, as far as the sweets. Now Antoinette, she is a nothing but cake freak. So like if that's her kryptonite, so if you really wanna, get her, you drop a little nothing but cake, so that's her thing. But like with our eating now, we actually have like a cheat meal time built in. So basically we eat clean 6 days, and then, like one day out of the week, typically like Saturday or Sunday, we'll do that one meal, which typically for us will throw our complete day off. It's just because, we're just not used to eating that way. And so, but we still do that. And then that's mentally satisfying. The other thing we do is we kind of go hang out at IHOP. Like that's our spot, because we can get a little bit of both,
That's right.
So that's kind of what we do to make sure that we maintain. And ultimately, though, the discipline is the other principle that I was going to say, commitment, because this is a discipline. Having the discipline to follow through is huge, so. Look, she said, you go.
Gentleman's laughing here. He says, you go into the gym.
Tell Cynthia there is hope and she can do it.
I saw that other question about, there was a question, something about being 50. This is 51. I've been divorced 21 years out of terrible marriage. I'm really overweight. Oh my goodness. Yeah. This is the thing, yes. And I say this to Antoinette all the time, as believers, like we control the atmosphere. Our atmosphere shouldn't control us. Our situation shouldn't dictate who you become. And we had to learn that. And that's one of the reasons that I was so anxious, not anxious, but excited about coming on tonight, because I really want everyone to understand that is that, if you could just listen to what I'm saying and understand that I do completely understand where you're at and what you've been through and how you feel. But I also know that you have the ability to choose even in the middle of that, and you can choose not to allow that to happen. And when you make that choice, discipline, commitment, and the consistency will take you right out of it. And you can actually come out and you're going to be that polished diamond, the pearl on the other end that somebody's going to look back and go, oh my goodness, I sure messed up. I shouldn't have done that. We all have that. And so don't allow these things to discourage us. We were not created to be able to be held down. We are overcomers. We walk in authority. We have kingdom power and authority. And you've got to begin to walk in that. Sometimes it takes someone like me, who's not afraid to say, yeah, I've been there. I was depressed. I was suicidal. But hey, you know what? I know God can do it. And to be a tangible word to someone else who may have read it in a book but didn't know the person. And I'm telling you, we're as real as it comes. and it works.
Yes, yes. Well, Victor, you answered my last question, but I will give Antoinette the opportunity to do the same. What would you say to that person out there who feels like their health is too far gone, or that they're too far up in age, and that they shouldn't even bother trying?
Okay, I would say just start small, start
Start
something,
small.
start walking, whatever you can do. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be getting in a bodybuilding competition. You can
Yes.
do something, if it's just 1 day a week, start there. And, just small steps, and have a goal, and try to get around people, that's going to support that goal. That's the thing I would say. The negativity, block it out, just stay focused on what it is you want to do. Anything, baby?
Awesome, awesome. Guys, I could sit here and talk to you all for another hour, but I want to honor you all's time and my everyone else here in the chat. I appreciate you all so much for being here. It is truly an honor that you all accepted my invitation and shared your testimony with us. Guys, what you all have heard tonight is literally just a snippet of what these two have been through in their lives. Antoinette has written a book. Her book is actually on the cover or on the thumbnail. I have also linked a description, put her link to Amazon down in the description box. So if you all are interested, it is a phenomenal read. And what I love about this book, Antoinette, is just how transparent you were in this book. People would look at you and see you today and think, this is a beautiful woman. She has it all together. She has a wonderful husband. She's a first lady. She's this, she's that, and have a million awesome things that they see and say about you. But to read your story and your testimony and the things that you have overcome and been through, I mean, I can't even tell you how much it blessed me. It blessed my spirit. Just seeing how you triumph through that. I mean, what would literally take people out and is still taking people out to this day, you have managed to overcome and thrive, not just overcome, but to thrive through it. And I think it's just such a phenomenal read. If you all have the opportunity, please go down, check out her book. It is worth every minute of your time in reading it. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us. And you did it so beautifully in the book. How much courage, this is my last question, how much courage did you have to muscle up to write that story, to write your testimony?
Ruth, I'm going to tell you just like this. Nothing pretty, but I had to brag about my Savior, girl.
Yeah.
I had to brag about Jesus, the
Yes.
one that pulled me out of my pit of sin. And he came, he rescued me, he loved me. He didn't make me feel like I had to do anything but just accept him. And that's the thing. I just had to tell what he did for me. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you did it so beautifully. So please check her out. Vic, talk to us a little bit about your protein that you are the athletic partner for now. You're a partner in this now.
Yeah, so it's actually it's called Puros. It's actually out of Belgium. It's not available in the States except from me. As a matter of fact, we just got our first shipment in last night. It's going to be going out to Snap Fitness in Cibolo. So if you guys are over in the Cibolo area, you know where Snap Fitness is over there. That's where you'll be able to get it. You can't get it anywhere else. As soon as the shipments are we have more shipments coming in. We're going to start making it more available to other locations. But as of right now, this is where we are. But it was actually developed by some trainers and nutritionists to make sure that that it contained the things that are beneficial to our bodies, and having to go and try to figure out, okay, what's good, what should I use, what shouldn't. Does it have soy in it? Does it have fillers and things like that? It doesn't have any GMOs. It's all natural product. And we actually had some of it last night, and so it's really good. And this is so new to me. It's like a dream. I like, okay, is this real? But it is. And so we're actually, the official go live for Lions Pride supplements is actually in March, but we had the first shipment in today, and we're going to get it out so that people can start sampling it.
Gotcha. I'm going to see if I can share this one more time, and then I'm going to pray us out of here.
Okay.
If there are no more questions, let's see. All right. So that's going to pop up there in just a second. Hopefully.
It is. It's there.
Okay, there we go. So guys, this is possible. At 53 and 55, I remind you that God is able and he can do it for you. So I just had to leave with this. I'm going to say a quick prayer before we head out of here.
Okay.
Father, most graciously, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for allowing us to share this story with the people that you have allowed to show up tonight, ready to hear, willing to make a change in their lives. Father, for those who are watching at this very moment and think that it's too late for me, that I can't, that I'm too old, I'm too sick, I have too many ailments, or too many things going on with my body, Lord, thank you for showing us that all of it is possible. No matter how far gone the enemy tries to make us believe, Lord, you remind us every day that everything is possible with you. Thank you, Father, for who you are in our lives. Help us to lean on that faith and to believe that because of who you are in our lives, we can do anything, that nothing really is impossible to us. Help us to walk in that faith and to deny and deter, get away from those things that try to bring us down. Place the people around us that will help us to be successful. Bring the support, the love, and the encouragement that we need. Come into our lives, come into our hearts. Be Lord over our lives so that we know that you are there. Comfort us, keep us, and bring us peace. Thank you for showing us that not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we can transition from wherever we are, whatever struggles we're dealing with, that there's nothing that we cannot get through, and not just get through, to actually thrive, overcome, and thrive through it. Thank you for this word. Thank you for this message. Thank you for what you're doing in their lives, the Barnwells' lives, the lives of the people who are ready to make a change. We're going to get up tomorrow and we're going to start a new day. So, Father, help us to walk and remember this story. Remember what we saw here so that we can move forward in faith without doubt. We thank you, Lord, for who you are. We love you. And these things we ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right, guys. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Being
guys.
here, you all were absolutely amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you all, everyone in the chat. Please share us out, share this testimony, and I will see you all back here on Monday morning for the ABCs of tongue types. We are on the letter P. So I appreciate you all for being here. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.